Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and I have a special guest here. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey, my name is Matt. I was here for 2017, and I'm back with my buddy Shane. Thank you for having me, dude.
Matt only exists once a year,
Yeah.
just in time to pop up for our top 10 video. So we're going to be talking about our top 10 films of 2018, and this was a very interesting year in film. Going into this year, some of my most anticipated films were Vice and Mary Queen of Scots. Yeah. They didn't turn out so well. Except one of them still got a bunch of Oscar nominations, which blows my mind. But so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a couple of our honorable mentions, and then we'll take turns going from our number 10s to our number 9s, and you guys can count, and we'll get down to number 1. So, Matt, you want to start off with some of your honorable mentions?
Sure. Let's start with Thoroughbreds. Thoroughbreds was a movie that came out so many months ago. I feel like not enough people saw it. It was awesome.
March?
Yeah, it was like
almost a year ago.
Yeah, it was like a while ago. But I remember watching this movie and thinking, this is so weird. But it never lost me. I'm okay with weird. I'm always down for the ride as long as you don't lose me. It was fantastic. If you like weird, you should watch it.
Had two very strong young female performances and a lot of Kubrickian cinematography and directing in there too, which I really appreciate.
It's a beautiful house. There's some bloody stuff that happens, but there's a beautiful house.
It was indeed a beautiful house.
The next movie was a movie called Bodied. I think it was produced by YouTube. It was about about rap battling and someone who isn't really into the culture but wants to break into
I
it.
heard about this.
Yeah,
I didn't see this movie though.
That movie was so awesome. Number one, because I like hip hop, but aside from the musical aspect, it had a lot to say about like gender politics, which is super random because not in the trailer. It also had to do with like people kind of like breaking out of certain like social statuses, or like how social status like differentiates, and then how people kind of like interact with each other once they kind of like meet each other for the first time. That movie has so much to say. It's almost kind of like a movie that is on one of my top 10s, but I'll talk about that later. But yeah, Bodied, thumbs up.
Did they let the bodies hit the floor?
They did. Just the right amount of bodies. Oh man.
I smug at the camera.
LOL. Another honorable mention, I'll say Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, I love that movie.
I don't care what anybody says. The movie's fantastic.
It definitely was.
And I'm man enough to say that towards the end, I got a little emotional.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a fantastic movie.
I cried during Logan.
Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. But yeah, Crazy Rich Asians was a fantastic movie. Not only because it did a lot in terms of like representation about a certain group that doesn't get a lot to do in terms of like main character roles. So that's awesome for the Asian community. And then B, it was a great movie just because it was funny and romantic and extravagant. And please go on Spotify, listen to the music. It's awesome. So that's Crazy Rich Asians. Two more honorable mentions have to go to Isle of Dogs and the documentary Whitney. Isle of Dog, Wes Anderson.
We saw that together.
Yes.
I had food poisoning. I almost shit myself in the car.
That was also a crazy long time ago too, and I remember that part vividly.
As do I.
Yeah. Isle of Dogs. Watch it if you like animation. Watch it if you like Fantastic Mr. Fox. If you don't know Fantastic Mr. Fox,
go watch that movie. I love that movie.
Stop this video, watch that movie, come back.
This video might be roughly the length of Fantastic Mr. Fox.
So you're gonna be in for a long night if you do it tonight. But yeah, fantastic movie. It's funny. It's interesting. It's great. Did that get nominated for any Oscars?
Yeah, it got nominated for score, which I love. Alexandre Desplat, he's great.
Right.
And then it got nominated for best animated feature.
Got you.
Which it won't win, as we both have a particular film to talk about in our top 10.
Yes.
So But
And then Whitney was fantastic. If you like Whitney Houston music and you like documentaries, and
this is the year that Shane watched documentaries.
yes,
But that
guy
was not one of them. I'll have to catch up with that one. I'm upset I missed RBG too. I should have seen that one. But Won't You Be My Neighbor? What's up with you? What's your problem, Oscars? Don't like Mr. Rogers? So, my honorable mentions to go through pretty quickly. I have A Quiet Place, which that was one of the biggest surprises of this year.
Yes.
Of like, I did not expect to be going and seeing a film like that and loving it so much. It was great. The sound, everything, got the scares. Leave No Trace. Absolutely love that film. Ben Foster is one of the most underrated actors out there. And then Thomasin McKenzie, who played the young woman, his daughter, was a real breakout star from that film. Mandy. If you don't get enough Nick Cage in your life, you should go watch Mandy and watch one of the craziest movies you will watch in a long-ass time. Because Nick Cage is nuts. This movie is nuts. He is perfect for this movie. Also extremely violent and gory, especially the second half of the movie, so be prepared. Green Book. I love that movie a lot, and that's probably one of the most, like, start to finish, most enjoyable movies that I watched this year. All about racism. So, enjoyable time.
It gets you in the feels, actually? Especially the ending. Do you get you in the feels?
That did get me in the feels. And also sitting there from a very Italian family, being like authentic.
LOL.
And then Stan and Ollie, which is one of my most feel-good, love this movie, movies of the year. Finally got to see it this past weekend. John C. Reilly, Steve Coogan were fantastic. But those are our honorable mentions. So Matt's going to get started with his number 10.
Number 10 goes to If Beale Street Could Talk. I thought... So when I saw the trailer, I remember thinking, I feel like a lot of people, especially people that may not like kind of like Oscar-y type movies.
Oscar baity.
Yeah, exactly. Like you watch the trailer and it's like the violins and everything else, and it's like, oh, this is like another movie. No, this movie has something to say. It has actually a few things to say. It has a few awesome short roles that like whoa, I didn't expect that monologue, or I didn't expect that scene.
You didn't expect this famous actor to pop up for like 5 minutes in this movie.
And it's and I'm like, oh wow.
And this is why they all wanted to be in this movie.
Like, if Beale Street Could Talk, definitely talks, and I hope that a lot of people watch it. Not even just because like, oh, it's a date movie, or like there's a couple like
if it's a date movie. Faces. We saw this together in New York City.
Yeah, like we should in this movie. But no, this movie, fantastic. Thumbs up, hands down. Earns number 10 best film of the year for me.
Legitimately, one of the scenes in that film has probably the best writing of a single scene I've seen this whole entire year, and I was sitting there like eating that dialogue up.
Yes.
Like the pizza that we had right afterwards, because that one particular scene towards the beginning of that movie, I'm like, this is dialogue gold rush right now. I'm just like, yes. The acting was amazing. The cinematography is great. The music is great in that film, and you really feel all of it. Never thought that somebody smoking a cigarette could look so beautiful on screen.
Yeah, like
that one scene was gorgeous.
It's like a character with one light and everything else dark. Like shadow, almost kind of like the way he like does like only that particular scene. I'm thinking, or even a couple things he does with the camera. Like that particular scene has almost looks like like how black and white movies, where it's kind of like black and white and shadow and contrast. Is really
I think this film could have been a black and white movie and could have easily worked perfectly that way.
I agree.
Just like Fury Road.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. That wasn't black and white. That was black and chrome. My bad. My mistake. So my number 10 is The Favorite, and Yorgos Lanthimos
does it again.
I love Yorgos Lanthimos, and there's a particular trend with his films where like, I don't always feel like his endings stick the landing. The Lobster kind of lost me towards the end there. This film was... It's interesting because he didn't write this one. He didn't write this particular film, but you could feel his stamp all over this. And this gave me vibes straight up out of, like, Barry Lyndon of Stanley Kubrick directing right here, which I get Kubrick vibes from Yorgos Lanthimos a lot. And this movie had 3 extremely powerhouse leading female performances in this film from Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz, and Emma Stone. And not to leave Nicholas Hoult out either, because he was a sassy bastard in this movie.
He ate some scenery.
Yes, he did. And honestly, if it wasn't such a crowded year, which it always is for Best Supporting Actor, I think he might have gotten a little love going that way. But Yorgos Lanthimos knows how to shoot a film. The cinematography is amazing. Some of the wide-angle, like, fishbowl shots of hallways is, like, jaw-dropping. And the amount of excess this movie is able to capture. And the dialogue is great. There's a lot of dark laughs in this film. And Yorgos Lanthimos really doesn't get scores for his films. He always, for the most part, uses actual, like, orchestral music from famous composers. And yet again, music works perfectly, just like it did in Killing of a Sacred Deer, which, woof, that movie. But favorites 9, number 10. Favorite make your list?
The favorite actually was a lot higher for me. Okay. A lot higher. That movie was fantastic. I'm thinking of one particular scene where Coleman is talking about, if you're kind of wondering why maybe the posters or someone that has seen it keeps talking about rabbits, there's a particular parallel that she makes to the reason why the rabbits are important. And it is very sad. It's one of, like, the quiet moments. There are a lot of... So if you like Lanthimos movies, you know, like, there's a lot of, like, moments in those movies where it's kind of, like, mundane and then something fantastic, or mundane and something bonkers. There's a lot of bonkers moments, but there are a lot of, like, tiny, small, quiet moments that are just as, like, impactful or heartfelt. That movie, also the ending was also pretty... I feel like if you did a spoiler review of The Favorite, I would love to discuss how you felt about the ending and what that meant, because it was kind of like, it was kind of abstracty a little bit.
Yeah, and boy, Yorgos Lanthimos movie leaves you open to interpretation at the end.
Yes.
Surprise! But yes, so that's my number 10. So.
Okay, my number 9. Whew. Okay. So I'm trying to get into reading more. So if I watch your trailer and you make me immediately go on my Amazon account and buy your book, that means you're doing something right. Annihilation is my number 9 of 2018. Annihilation is about, which I feel like also came out a really long time ago.
I'm pretty sure that came out in February. So it's literally almost a year at this point. And all you jerks forgot about it. Voting on award season, like, or you're from the UK and watched it on Netflix.
Which is also, like, I'm a little, like, sort of jealous of them. Annihilation.
I'm glad I saw this in the theater.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, please don't watch it on your phone, guys. Please watch it, like, as big as possible. But Annihilation is a movie that juggles science fiction. It juggles horror. It is, because it's science fiction, it has a lot to say, like, philosophically, but I don't want to make it seem like it's maybe like 2001, where, like, you kind of have to, like, it might be hard for you to sort of pierce what it might be trying to say, so you have to really, like, chew on it. It does have a lot of that, but also has,
it has,
like,
those moments, but this film is a lot more concrete.
Yeah, like, it's definitely
a Space Odyssey.
Yeah, it's accessible.
Yeah,
but this movie is such an awesome movie, and when I say that it has, I've seen it on so many top 10 best, like, horror movies or horror moments. This has one of the scariest moments in any film that I've ever seen in my entire. And I like horror. Like, I try to watch everything. And there's one scene in particular, Shane, when I saw that movie, Oh man. Watch the trailer again. And
You could probably figure out from the trailer what scene we're talking about because it was disturbing.
it was so disturbing, but that movie was fantastic. And it's so smart, like Ex Machina, like
Alex Garland is. Thank you.
yeah, like that guy knows what the heck he's doing. Annihilation is a fantastic movie. Annihilation will annihilate your expectations. See what I did there?
Did it Ragnarok your world as much as Thor Ragnarok did? Don't challenge me on dad jokes and puns. You will lose. And also, you'll be hearing more about Annihilation much later in this video. So, my number 9 is Searching, which this is, out of my top 10, probably the most quote-unquote gimmicky of films on here, because you could have watched that trailer and be like, oh, this is a gimmick. This goes beyond just some gimmick. And there's the great of how to do this, and then there's Unfriended Dark Web, which I also saw this year, which they both are all on like computer screens and like this whole entire film shot this way. This makes sense. It makes sense why all of these things, and there's no logical holes from how you get to one place or another. And it doesn't feel like it's manufactured so you can keep using it. This all makes sense. And John Cho, oh my god, you went from MILF guy number 2 in American Pie to this, and you were absolutely amazing. He carried this film. He was fantastic. This film kept me on edge the whole entire time. You're going through twists and turns, and from a technical standpoint, this is a remarkably made film, and it made that gimmick work to the point where it didn't feel like a gimmick anymore. You felt like you were entrenched in this film, in this mystery, and you were trying to escape like this terrible thing that this father's going through trying to find his daughter. And there are some twists you do not expect coming, and just BAM! And it just floored me. This movie was great. I loved it so much.
High rewatchability as well.
Yes.
Like high rewatchability. I would buy this DVD. I would definitely buy that DVD. 100%. Or Blu-ray. But no, fantastic movie. I feel like there were so many things that the trailer, you think when you watch the trailer that it sort of explains everything. It definitely does not.
No.
Like the one twist in particular I'm thinking about towards the end, it's like, oh, so that's what's happening? Or a twist like sort of before that. The one I'm thinking about with, yeah, so when you see kind of like all puzzle pieces sort of come together and it makes sense, almost kind of like a Shyamalan way, where it's like it's not random. It's like everything has been leading, breadcrumbs have been like building up to something. You've
seen all the signs. You just didn't know you saw them yet.
They were earned, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good movie if everything sort of makes sense. So high rewatchability, fantastic choice, Shane. Okay, should we go?
Number 8.
Number 8 goes to a small movie called Mid-90s, which you can
about
watch.
A small person.
Yes. This guy, what is he? I think he's like 12 or 13, this little boy. Who, anybody that likes God of War, he was the voice of the little boy inside of that movie that came out this year as well. That kid's going to be doing a lot of stuff. Yeah, he's also in the movie...
he was in the house with clocks in its walls.
Yeah, The Bully.
Yeah.
He was in last year's Lanthimos, or 2 years ago Lanthimos movie. What's the name? Sacred Deer. He was the son.
Was he really?
That was the son, yeah.
Huh.
But mid-90s...
I couldn't remember past Colin Farrell's beard.
Yeah. Well, his hands. His hands. Please watch that movie, everybody. But
Just not with your mom.
Yes. Oh, yeah, you did see Secret Deal with your mom. But Mid-90s is a fantastic movie about skateboarding, about being a teenager, about the 90s in terms of its music and the time period. Everybody is set in a very particular kind of like economic class and everybody sort of like dealing with that. That's like a really big thing. I don't know. I really like that kind of thing.
That moment you feel old when mid-90s is a period piece.
Yeah, and it's like, oh wow, okay. Well, I remember all those things.
91.
92. But no, fantastic movie. I hope Jonah Hill makes more films.
I have to say, I didn't love this film anywhere near as close as you did, but I admire how much Jonah Hill refuses to pull punches in this movie.
The way those kids talk, I'm a really big like sucker for dialogue, and the way those kids talk it's so realistic. It's almost kind of like you took random people that have never acted before off the street. I guess he doesn't really like dirtbag people cursing and yelling and talking kind of like vulgar.
But when that film got going, though, was, oh my god, some of the stuff that happened in that movie floored me. I was sitting in, like, it was kind of like, okay, this film's fine, I can see what Jonah Hill's, no! Boom! And it was just like,
yes.
Holy crap! Just jumped up and punched me in the face, Jonah Hill.
And a majority of the actors are kids. So all this intense stuff that I'm talking about.
Freaking Lucas Hedges, who's literally in everything.
Yeah.
Was the older brother in that, and he scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. But I'm not he's not oversaturated. I like Lucas Hedges. But no, mid-90s. Fantastic movie. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is Puzzle. And I can't reinforce how much this film uses such great detail to really convey such a complete story and growth in its characters. Because this felt like this movie could have went in so many cliched, Hollywood-y kind of places, and it just doesn't. It's just like, no, it's not what you're getting in this movie. I loved Kelly MacDonald in this. I think she did a really good job. And then, what's Pam's fiance from The Office?
Oh, Roy.
Roy. Yeah, Roy was in this as her husband. And I thought because, like, here's the thing. This trailer could have sold you on this film as pretty straightforward and you know exactly how all these characters are. You don't. These are not stereotypes. There's so much depth in these three main characters with this woman who's a shut-in housewife who has her, like, she isn't like this goody two-shoes, like, I want to live, and then she finds this miraculous love story with this Indian guy who's so super charming, but, like, that's what the trailer conveys to you. No, they have layers. There's a lot more to these characters than you expect. And the visual storytelling in this film is so well done because there's such little details about everything and how the thread is being pulled that when you take a step back or when you hit like a point where there's like, I'm not going to say like a reveal like this is some kind of like M. Night Shyamalan movie or something, but like there's a sequel, like a montage, and then you see like the bigger picture of what's going on. You're surprised because it sets you up to be surprised with how well it's using the storytelling to bring you along in this film. And great cast, great story, great relationships, and there's a lot of growth in this film and made me want to do puzzles.
Well, I mean, that's the mark of a true movie. Good movie. It makes you want to do something. Makes
you want to do puzzles. Could do it on my nice new desk that I have, specifically trying this out for this video. So
for you guys.
And now for something completely different.
There we go. Yeah, we definitely can't get any different. Let's go.
Actually, yeah.
I want to say The Incredibles 2. The Incredibles 2, when I saw it, and I've seen it 3 times now, at that point I thought that it was going to be the best movie of the year, because it was my number, at least after Annihilation anyway, because that was my number 2 for a while until something else swung along that I'll talk about later. But I'm really hard with these jokes, Shane. Like, your commenters applaud me for it. The attempt anyway. The Incredibles 2, that movie had conversations about. I love. Okay, by the way, I really like when movies they try to not just tell a story, but they kind of touch on or get really deep into other things. Like the movies talked about feminism, That movie talked about society
Yeah.
and convenience, and I'm only going to say that. I'm going to stop right there because that's going to turn into a spoiler. It talked about like taking everything that was in the first movie and doing like a logical progression of what would happen after that. Almost kind of like the X-Men. If superheroes and like mutant type people, like they're not allowed to really do what they want to do because it's unchecked, what happens? Like what would be the response, the public and the political response? Like those are some pretty interesting ideas and questions. Exactly, yeah. Who watches The Incredibles?
We do.
We do.
This made my top 20.
Top 20?
Yeah, and seeing as like I've seen 150, 60 films from 2018, that means something.
Brad, we miss you. Please don't take like what was it, like 14 years, something like that.
Don't do Tomorrowland.
Yeah,
don't do Tomorrowland 2.
Yeah, don't
make Incredibles 3.
Make Incredibles 3, please. And then like make it like a time jump too, like make them into teenagers or something. Like
maybe do a different action movie. Just like Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Because the action in The Incredibles 2 was fantastic.
Yes.
He knows how to shoot action, whether it's real action or whether it's computer generated. He knows action.
Like you remember when people were going, like you're walking up to the theater and you see like those little signs that say, so if you're gonna buy a ticket for Incredibles 2, there's a scene with like strobe lights.
Ooh,
that was a fantastic
scene.
Like an extended, and then also like when Miss Parr, like the mom, she's sort of like going around the city, kind of like in like a Spider-Man sort of way, or like a Mission Impossible kind of way, I guess.
Yeah. On a motorcycle.
On a motorcycle too. Like everybody has some pretty interesting moments, and the Jack stuff.
Yes, that
thumbs up.
Raccoon.
Got what it was coming to it.
Yeah, and Mr. Incredible being a dad. Those are some really relatable scenes. I know my brother felt that, seeing as he's a dad now. And he feels that, I'm pretty sure. But, so my number, that was 7, right?
Yeah.
My number 7 is the 4th time this movie has been made. And, not gonna lie, I haven't watched any of the other 3. But now I kind of don't want to, because this put this at such a high level for me, and that's A Star is Born. Like, everything about this movie works so well. Whether it's the direction with Bradley Cooper, snubbed by the Academy Awards for being nominated for Best Director. He should have. And I thought it was very interesting during the credits when Live Nation popped up as like a producer on this. But those concert scenes look so real. I felt like I was watching a real concert. And honestly, I'm sorry that I didn't get to see this in Dolby. Because I wanted this to feel like a real concert going on. The music is great. I listen to the music all the time. Shallow is going to win an Oscar. And if that doesn't, I will eat a part of this desk. I'll bite off a piece of this wood and chew it, because then that makes no sense to me if Shallow doesn't win. And honestly, them performing that at the Oscars is one of the main reasons why I'm excited to watch the Oscars this year. But the performances, and you could be forgiven to expect, like, going into this movie, this is Lady Gaga's movie. Just Lady Gaga's movie. Because she did a great job. But don't shortchange Bradley Cooper's acting, because I'm pretty sure this is his best performance.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, like, he carries a lot in this film. And he could have easily just been a caricature, which apparently he kind of is, just like a straightforward kind of, like, jerk in some of the other versions of this film. He's tragic. There's tragic backstory to this. And Sam Elliott, though, got that nomination based off of one stare that almost made me cry. I'm like, that mustache almost makes me cry. I wish I could grow a mustache like that. But his acting in such a small role that he has in this film was impeccable. Andrew Dice Clay pops up in this is great too, as Lady Gaga's dad. But everything about this works so well. And this movie's been made 4 times. It has the same ending. this is really tragic ending. Not gonna spoil what it is, but it hit me in the feels, man. This movie hit me in the feels.
I'm really mad at myself for not seeing it. I remember watching the trailer and thinking, "Oh, this is interesting."
I'm pretty sure it's still in theaters.
Oh yeah, that's
because it was in the top 12, I think, at the box office this weekend. It still made over $1.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah, this and Bohemian Rhapsody are still chugging along there, making money. Print that money.
I have a couple more movies to watch. It seems like. So I guess we can go to number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to bother you. Sorry to bother you. You
sorry, not sorry.
Exactly. We are definitely not sorry. This movie, number 1. Let's talk about it like Shrek. Let's talk about it in layers. Number 1, this movie is hilarious. This movie is so funny. Hands down, one of the best jokes of 2018 is, I guess the main character is saying, "Hey, can I get 15 on pump 3" when he's pumping gas, and you think he's about to give the attendant $15. He ends up giving him 15 cents. Like literal
freaking diamond in it.
Like so funny. Just people, just odd, random people, just like scurrying around and just trying to survive, and like it's hilarious. It's so absurd and weird, and it gets like really absurd and really weird, but it's like, funny. So funny.
You can't even go into like talking about the last third of this movie without like so many spoilers about and like this isn't like, oh, I could have guessed that. No, you couldn't. No, there's no guessing where this movie is going.
Yeah, there are no breadcrumbs. It's more like a brick that hit you in the back of the head.
Yeah, like thrown by a cracked out Army Hammer, who honestly was probably one of the most fun supporting characters I've seen in a movie this whole entire year. I just rewatched that this week, and oh my god, Army Hammer in this movie.
Sorry to bother you. That was such a fantastic movie. I think under the funny, there's like some social commentary going on that I don't know how to vaguely tiptoe around without spoiling, so I won't. But this movie is a very smart movie if you really think about it, and everything that it's not like even me trying to like draw lines in between random things and coming to my own conclusion. This like it was intentional. Like this movie, I feel like some reviewers, I remember like, what was it? What the Flick? Some reviewers thought that this movie tried to do too much. Like it was almost kind of like it was reaching a little bit too far to gather almost too many things. But I think it succeeded. I don't know. I kind of like that.
And if you're going into this movie thinking that this is just some kind of like joke on, like put on your white voice,
yeah,
it's not what this movie is. There's so much more to this movie, and it's so much deeper than that than just some goofy gimmick. And that's only a part of the commentary of this film. And where this film goes seems like so out in like left field that you can never guess where this is coming. But there's so many subtle hints at the bigger picture of what this film is saying that despite the vehicle being completely outrageously absurd, you understand where this film is going and where this might be pointing its proverbial guns at next. Because, like, this movie hits you like a sledgehammer. There's no subtlety about Sorry to Bother You. This movie's in your face, and it stays there the whole entire time. And that's a good thing, because it really makes the most out of that.
That was a fantastic movie. Oh, wait, and before we go to the next movie, I just have to say, like, camera stuff and set design stuff, that movie is so like when you remember seeing the trailer.
So many details.
Yeah, like when he's just like dropping into people's houses when they're answering the phone as a metaphor. There are so many interesting things like that besides stuff in the trailer. Yeah. With like just different random camera stuff or different things that the set might do, and it's like, wow, like this is, and it's like all practical. Mm-hmm. Like even the stuff towards the end is practical. Like that's. Thumbs up, guys. Thumbs up.
There's such a great gag with him dropping in on one particular thing going on. You could probably guess what it might be, but it's still not going to take away from how funny that was.
Telemarketers.
And now for something completely different. And indeed completely different, because we're going from one of the most in-your-face movies about so much to say to probably the most purest, most joyous piece of cinema that came out in all of 2018, and that is Paddington 2. Because I don't care that I put a CGI little bear on my top 10 list, but this came out over a year ago. This came out like January 12th or something like that, 2018, and I still love this movie so much. I was remiss to pick out anything in this film, and then you're probably going to wonder why this isn't like my number one. The movies above this had a lot more to say than this film. But the thing is, this film still has a lot to say about, like, immigration and stuff like that, because Paddington's an immigrant. And it's just like, that's timely shit right now. Except this is such a lovable little movie that you probably are, like, not even thinking about that. And also, I agree with a lot of the internet. This movie has one of the best supporting performances out of any movie this whole entire year, and that is the man, the gentleman himself, Mr. Hugh Grant, who is the villain in this movie and is the most absolute delight. One of the most amazing characters put to screen in 2018, and if it wasn't, like I said before, such a tough year in supporting actor, actually, Hugh Grant should have been nominated over Sam Rockwell. There was a lot of people that should have been nominated over Sam Rockwell. George Bush was barely in Vice, and honestly, he was just doing an impression.
Okay, then.
Should have just got Will Ferrell. He could do an impression, too.
SNL.
Just like, you're going to be my Vice.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay. But no, Hugh Grant was amazing in this movie, and Ben Whishaw is such a lovely demeanor as Paddington, and the family he's with are perfect. Sally Hawkins, and oh crap, what the hell's his name from? It's the guy from Downton Abbey. No, I'm forgetting. Not crap. But, like, Brendan Gleeson shows up in this as some, like, this very tough guy in jail that's absolutely hilarious character in this.
Professor Moody shows up in this movie.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
funny.
Paddington goes to jail.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
real.
And I haven't seen something so much fun and silly in prison since Grand Budapest. With Gustav H. in jail.
Would you, if they end up making a Paddington 3, would you be in the theater?
I'm pre-ordering that shit. You heard it here first. I'm pre-ordering my Paddington 3 tickets. Because this movie from start to finish is so much fun. It's so lovely. Just, you'll feel great for weeks. Like, this'll get you for weeks. And it's worth it. I love Paddington 2.
In a feel-good movie off, would you say Paddington 2, or would you say the Mr. Rogers movie? What gives you more warm feelings?
I was ready. It didn't even matter what you were going to say. I was going to say Paddington was going to roundhouse kick whatever movie you were going to say in the face, but I can't say that about Mr. Rogers now.
Can't kick a sweater. That man is beautiful.
So it's that movie, screw you, Academy Awards. I loved Won't You Be My Neighbor. Like, legitimately, I'm pretty sure I put that in, like, my top 20 or 25. At least close there, because I absolutely love that. But,
Fantastic.
Paddington.
Paddington.
Actually, we should honestly just talk about our number 5 together, because we actually have the same number 5.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so I'll say it. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a fantastic movie.
Who?
Spider-Man is a fantastic movie in terms of the way that it looks was amazing and inventive and creative. And I feel like the story itself, if you watch the trailer and think this movie is for kids, it's not just for kids.
No,
if you feel like this movie is going to lose you because it might get convoluted with the whole like alternate dimension stuff, I promise
Nope.
you, this movie's smart enough not to lose you.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like this movie, I mean, I've seen Spider-Man movies before. Why do I gotta see this one?
No, you
This-
haven't.
Yeah, this one is
You
different.
ain't seen nothing yet.
This one is different. This is
Little
like
baby, ain't seen nothing yet.
exactly. Oh man, you and it's like a different like decade or something with your music.
And my sideburns.
There we go. But Spider-Verse, like, I don't know, man. I feel like definitely these are better than the Garfield movies. I feel like this is
That's not. Come on, that's not even like.
low hanging fruit.
Yeah, well, just a little bit.
I
But no, like this legitimately is up there with Spider-Man 2 as like the best Spider-Man movie.
Spider-Man 2, Homecoming, Spider-Verse, everything else. For me.
Yeah, and like, well, Spider-Man 1's like kind of floating there in the middle, then, and then it kind of just like, phew.
Yeah.
You can't argue with back to formula.
Back to formula.
Only if Willem Dafoe was in this movie, then this definitely would have been the best Spider-Man movie ever, without even a doubt. But like this movie subverts so many expectations. Like this tries to do the Kingpin, which is ballsy, honestly, after the Daredevil show on Netflix, because Vincent D'Onofrio is like the greatest Wilson Fisk that will ever be put onto anything.
Nothing Rames from Daredevil? No, I'm kidding. That movie was awful.
Michael Clark Duncan, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Either way, a really bad film.
Yeah. Bullseye.
There we
Shut
go.
up, Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
Grow your beard out. We want to see you in more Yorgos Lanthimos movies.
There we go.
Into the Spider-Verse works on so many levels. The animation's amazing. Like, inspired animation. The music is amazing. And the characters and the connections between these characters, the voice acting is great. And you see a different Peter Parker than you'd ever expect. Middle-aged, out-of-shape Peter Parker.
Jaded Peter Parker.
Jaded Peter Parker is fantastic. And then there's a surprise Peter Parker in this movie. And I'm not going to say who voices him, but it was amazing and made me so happy. And like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my god.
Yes.
And it was like one of those moments where you realize, and then all the villains in this, and there's some great twists in this. Miles Morales is such a great character in this film, and you really feel for him, his relationship with his dad. There's like, I love you.
Yes.
Like that, I know that's in the trailer, but like that, like it's so endearing. And then this journey of his takes him in so many different directions. And you understand where everybody's coming from in this film. Aunt May. Oh man, there's so much about this movie that hits on so many levels emotionally and thrilling. The action's amazing. Just like this does it all. And this is the best animated film of the year.
By far. Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Yeah. It is the best superhero film of this year. And that's saying something, because I'm all hyped on Infinity War. I can watch that movie over and over and over again. But this did so much that was so unexpected about this movie.
And it didn't have to be so good. There's a lot of talent behind it. Like
Yes.
Lord and Miller.
Lord
And then, like the other, like the co-writer, and then like the actual directors. Like there's some pretty awesome stuff that people behind it. But I feel like in terms of it being an animated movie, like a really easy argument can be made that this movie could have been nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah. I deserved it more than half the nominations.
Yeah, like that. This movie, Into the Spider-Verse, it has, I think, easily one of the coolest like moral to the story kind of moments, like the Stan Lee cameo that I won't spoil exactly what he says, but like when this movie, because basically this whole movie is talking about the fact that anybody can be a hero. Like it's not this select few that are chosen it's like, no, anybody that is strong enough or willing enough to rise to the occasion can put on a mask or not, because there are cops and like like that also heroes too. Like in the movie in general, like if you decide to do something and make a change, you can do that no matter how young you are, or what you look like, or where you're from. Like that's so awesome, and it's not corny.
No,
it's not corny.
The movie's great.
Oh man.
So that's both our number 5. So then
that's a fantastic number 5. Number 4, I feel like this movie is also kind of like forgotten awards wise.
I'm really shocked that this movie like disappeared.
Yeah,
into like nothingness.
Yeah, like McQueen, I thought that was a shoo-in. Oh, okay, so Viola Davis is 100% going to get a nomination, and is definitely going to get Best Director.
Nope.
Widows. Widows was a great movie. Widows are a great movie. Number 1, because that cast, and not just the female, who I'll get to in a second. You have John Barenthal. You have
John Barenthal.
What's that guy named? Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson's was in this movie.
Like you have so many people.
Colin Farrell. Robert Duvall. It's
like you have
David Henry and Tyree. I'm mixing his 3 names up.
Yeah, I forget.
But Daniel Kaluuya as his brother scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, this is definitely not the same guy from Get Out. But those people are awesome. And then kind of like the central women. You have
Brian Tyree Henry.
I think so.
Yeah.
Michelle Rodriguez, like everybody else is awesome, but Michelle Rodriguez, she needs more work. She's intimidating. She's awesome. She should be a superhero, I think.
Elizabeth Debicki?
I think so.
Who played the John Bernthal's wife, right?
I think so, yeah. And then you have the one woman from, what is that movie?
It's Jackie
Bad Times at the
Royale.
Yes.
Cynthia Erivo,
okay.
I think it is.
And then, obviously, Viola Davis. Like, that movie was fantastic. Especially, there's one particular scene. Shane, do you remember that scene where Colin Farrell is getting off of, like a stage and he's talking to people, and then he gets into a car, and where they are is a pretty poor neighborhood. And then he's like having like this whole conversation, which is very interesting with his assistant. And as they're driving, he goes from like a poor neighborhood into a rich neighborhood, and you see kind of like the lawns get larger, and then like in the gated communities.
This movie had so much more to say than you would expect it to, based off of the trailer.
Like yes, like the cinematography, those extreme close-ups of lips or eyes. Or like people kissing. Mm-hmm. There was some pretty intense kissing in the beginning of the movie. I was like, whoa, okay. Like, you'll know what I mean when you watch it. But no, fantastic movie. Definitely should have gotten more awards consideration.
My number 4 is a movie that kind of just like poofed. And I don't know how many people really saw Death of Stalin. But, I love this movie. So one of my biggest treats that I've seen over the past couple of years, just randomly streaming a ton of movies, was In the Loop. Mm. And this cheeky British dark political comedy was so amazing. The dialogue is amazing in that film. And when I heard that this movie was made by the same people that made that, I'm like, yes. And when I saw Michael Palin was in this, I'm like, yes. My favorite member of Monty Python, and like Steve Buscemi's in this, and Jeffrey Tambor's in this. Don't know how much Jeffrey Tambor is going to be in the near future.
There we go.
Awkward.
Yeah.
But and Jason Isaacs as this freaking general, and just everybody is balls to the wall. Like, Patty Considine pops up in a smaller role in this. Like, everyone's just balls to the wall in this movie. and it's hilarious. But it has so much to say, and so much of this is so poignant politically today, which is actually kind of scary, seeing as this is like Stalin Russia. And I'm like, awkward.
Yeah.
But just this film is so funny, so memorable, and so like you have like I joked a lot in my Aquaman review of the hero shots and like there's really intense like close ups and like the smugging at the camera's like mission to come aboard. All of those in Aquaman have nothing on Jason Isaacs showing up and flipping his coat off and just looking like a complete boss coming into this funeral for Stalin. And what's so shocking about this movie is like this doesn't pull any punches on some really dark shit. Assassinating people, just straight up killing people, and just like violence, just like going for it.
Torture.
And, yeah. And you never think you would joke so much about secret police stealing people in the middle of the night and it being that funny. But this movie succeeded in doing that. So you go, Death of Stalin.
Yeah, it was like a comedy almost.
Yeah. Except with a British sensibility about it. Which I always appreciate.
That's funny. So we already talked about this movie, I think, right?
Yeah.
But my number 3 has to be The Favorite. That movie, number 1, it's beautiful to look at. I think that everything interior, I really want to visit that castle. I just want to see like the beautiful...
walk around those gardens.
Yeah, like
I want to get pushed down the hill.
Yeah.
Just like get my stone there.
Oh man. Let me see. If this movie like begs you to care about things that you don't even really care about, so like set design or like many people usually sometimes don't, or costume, hair and makeup, like was that? I don't think that was even nominated for hair and makeup, was it? Or
No,
was
it wasn't.
Yeah,
that's one of those. There was literally that one weird Oscar where there's only like 3 spots for it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Why is there only 3 spots for it?
And that movie, there's some pretty awesome like. The movie was fantastic. That movie, like the way what I think the ending means for particular characters is interesting. I think, because we've had the conversation about what we think that the movie, what the movie ends like on.
And the more I think about it, the more I really, really like the ending because I felt like the film. There's such an arc for the 3 main characters in the film, and especially because like you go and watch this trailer and you're thinking, okay, so this is Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone's movie. This is Olivia Colman's movie.
Yes.
This is a breakout performance for her, and like she plays one of the random cops in like Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen her in a leading role in anything, and she takes this movie. And it was just like, mine now. Which is saying a lot because Rachel Weisz is such a fantastic actress. And Emma Stone is such a big star. And no, they play second fiddle to her. And I love where that character goes. I'd never want to watch her eat cake again.
Yes.
This movie doesn't pull any punches either when it comes to some like gross out shit.
Fantastic movie. Fantastic movie. And you, Shane, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is... I saw this with you and a couple other people, and I feel like I'm the only person that absolutely dropped down and loved this movie. And it's Bad Times at the El Royale, because... Why did the Coen brothers write this? That's my flex, but it was Drew Goddard who helped make Cabin in the Woods, and was he the showrunner of Daredevil? Season 1, pretty sure.
Familiar.
Yeah. Pretty sure he was. If not, correct me in the comments. Isn't that what the comments section's for? But this movie, I bought in so hard to all the twists and turns, the nonlinear storytelling, all the craziness that goes on in this movie. But what makes this movie live or die, besides the amazing music, the amazing cinematography, the music, amazing sets, is the characters in this movie, and all of them so much more than meets the eye to them. And the chemistry between all these characters, the dynamics between all these characters. This movie is the kind of movie that, like, me sitting back and I'll be doing my, I guess this is my 3rd annual Wasteland Reviewer Awards. I'm hoping to do them next weekend. And this movie's going to pop up a lot on there acting-wise. Because I feel like this is an unsung film because, like, Jeff Bridges, I think it's just taken for granted that he's going to go in there and own this movie. Because Jeff Bridges owned this movie. And he's been on such a high note lately, too. I know he just got the Cecil B. DeMille Award at the Golden Globes, and him being nominated for Hell or High Water, which, love that movie. He's great in this. Cynthia Erivo, who is also in Widows, she owns the hell out of her performance in this movie. And then Chris Hemsworth, the way he hypnotizes you with his abs, and his he is so ridiculously charming in this movie too, and messed up. Yes. And out of all the performances, only one of them really left a little bit to be desired for me, and that was Dakota Johnson. Like, she was in Suspiria this year, and I loved her in that. I thought she owned her role in that. This one, she kind of felt out of her depth with everybody else, because, like, John Hamm is a powerful screen presence. Jeff Bridges is Jeff Bridges. And this film takes you to so many crazy places. Like, Nick Offerman's in this for, like, a couple minutes. I'm like, I want more Ron Swanson. But I love this film. And its twists and turns and unexpected and has so much style. And I loved it. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Okay, my number two is Roma. Roma.
Marsha.
Yeah. Roma, that's funny. Roma is, I used to have a t-shirt with The Simpsons, though. Not the Brady Bunch Simpsons. Roma was an awesome movie, and I think that, number one, this is basically Netflix saying, we're not going anywhere, and we are legitimately making art here.
Yup.
Pay for your subscription. Stop sending your codes to your friends. We deserve. But no.
Still gonna have my mom and my dad, my stepmom watch on my account.
Yeah.
And for the record, I saw this in a theater.
Same, yeah.
So, which, if Netflix shows more of their films in theaters, that will make me happy. Because honestly, I should have saw Outlaw King on a big screen because that really lent itself more to that. And I wish I saw Buster Scruggs on a freaking screen.
I agree, actually. I kind of wish I saw both of those on the big screen. But no, Roma, that movie was so awesome. Like, from the start of the movie, everything is so like methodical and slow paced. And it's not like this movie is like gearing up. You've seen the trailer. You probably noticed that this movie doesn't seem like it's gearing up towards like a big confrontation or like somebody is.
I don't know. There's.
I mean, there are a few. There's definitely there's like a political backdrop. A lot of these movies are interesting. A lot of like political, like economic, like stuff going on.
It's the time of the season.
Yeah, and
they know their audience.
Some interesting parallels to real life, and this movie definitely watch the Oscars at least for that stuff going on right now with America. But Roma is an awesome movie just because it not only it doesn't pull back on punches, it is a love story. But it's also heartbreaking. It's black and white. But it's so full of life and interesting. It's like it's cinematography, but like at its best.
How many directors besides Alfonso Cuarón can make mopping water into a drain? So pretty. Yeah, like that. Like that scene. That's the opening credits.
And then you end up finding why she's mopping it. It's like, oh, I just was watching what? But this is really funny to me. But no, Roma for me. I don't think that it was over nominated Oscars wise, and I think that 100% if that movie doesn't get Best Director, I might help you chew this table because that movie was great, great. I don't think maybe enough people saw it. I don't know box office wise, and it makes sense because
Well, I'm assuming most people probably watched it on
Netflix. Yeah.
And the sad thing is, like, I always believe you should see a film in theaters at least once, and it's fine to rewatch it and stuff like that because in a theater there's no distractions, except when there's a bunch of assholes in there who won't put their phones away. But like, it's off. You're in a dark theater. You're immersed in the film. When you're watching something on streaming on Netflix, it's really easy to be like, well, I'm just going to take a break real quick. And I can imagine this film taking some people a couple of, like, chunking it. Because it's not the most... This isn't like... You're not going to be glued to your seat. I'm like, oh my god, I hope she cleans that spot next. But, like, it's not that kind of movie.
It's slice of life.
Yeah, and in a theater, you can be fully engrossed in it. And I feel like there's too many distractions. And I really hope that a whole lot of people didn't take away from their experience watching this film. Because, like, this made my top 20. I did really, really like this film a lot. And Alfonso Cuarón is such a talented director, whether it's Prisoner of Azkaban or Children of Men is my favorite of his films. I absolutely love that film. And that's something that was, like, honestly, if that wasn't a science fiction film, that probably would have gotten a lot more nominations and stuff like that, because that was an amazing film. And he makes the mundane so much more interesting, and then by the time this movie kicks into gear and you've really hit some, like, heavy stuff, I felt there's one particular scene in this movie, and I'm not going to give it away, but the sound design mixed with this long tracking shot makes you so afraid of something that you don't expect to be afraid of. And that's the beauty of this film. And this movie is heartbreaking at moments. Heartbreaking. And it's just like, wow. This movie set me up to think that I was just going to be walking around with a maid all day. And then, nope. Nope, this gets you hard. And like, hits you hard.
It's like, oh crap, like, she has a life outside of the walls. And that too isn't. It's hard to watch sometimes. Yeah. It is hard to watch. She gets.
There's some scumbags in this movie.
She has to deal with a lot of punches. But
now,
fantastic.
My number 2 is his number 1. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit and let you gush over it.
Okay.
And it's 8th Grade. Woo, freaking Bo Burnham though. This movie has all the style and all the substance. This is one of the most refreshing experiences in a movie theater that I had all year. And this is the first time I think ever that I felt connected to an 8th grade girl.
True.
And it's just like... And what it has to say about social media. And watching their principal dab. And just like... And this was the Call Me By Your Name of 2018 dad speeches. Because there's a dad speech in this movie.
Yes.
And it's great. And I'm so sad this movie got no love at the Oscars because this is one of the most original, beautiful little films that you'll see all year. And that's all I'm going to say because then I'm going to let him gush over it. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, okay. Ready for some 8th grade, Shane?
I'm not ready to go back to 8th grade.
I've done my time.
I'm stuck in college forever.
That's why I like it.
So how I like it, I'm going to keep teaching in college for the rest of my life.
Oh, man. Okay, so 8th grade is my number 1 movie of the year because... So number 1, I work with youth, and they're really interesting because 8th grade, like middle school and high school age, especially if you're an adult, kind of like Shane and I, and we kind of like been through that, and we've seen the other side of the hill. We're kind of, well, not that we're ancient, but everything
Speak for yourself.
But everything, like, when you're that age, it's everything is so important, and like your friends are important, and your crushes are important, and how you interact with people are important, and your feelings towards like your parents, and when you want to push them away, like all these emotions are kind of like just like explosions. Everything is like really really urgent, and you think that you might be the center of everything, or you might have like issues and you feel like nothing is sort of like relatable to other people. I thought this movie did such a good job at kind of like almost making kind of like a template stand-in character person kid that very easily, I think, like, children today, which is hard because this movie is rated R, so I don't think many kids are going to watch it unless their parents are super cool.
Bothers me so much.
Yeah.
And what's really messed up about like rating systems and stuff like that.
Yeah, this movie should be.
Nobody's getting their heads blown off in this movie.
Like,
This doesn't need to be rated R.
Nobody's having sex. Like, nobody.
Let's be real here.
Yeah, but like.
Why? Because it says the F word a couple times.
Yeah, these kids. Not as much as mid-90s, but these kids do like go there in terms of like verbal aggression, I guess. But
trust me, I've heard much worse when I was in 8th grade. So,
but no, like I think like it would be very easy for like kids of today to put themselves, boys included, to put themselves in the shoes of feeling awkward or feeling like they're on like the cusp of the rest of their life. Which, oh boy, 8th grade, trust me. 9th grade is going to throw you for a completely different loop if you think that's going to be the hardest.
High school.
But I think I saw a meme like that recently.
Mortal Kombat.
But 8th grade, I think, number one, this movie is one of the best movies of the year. A, just because it reminds me of the people that I work with. And then number two, this movie tries and succeeds in doing such an awesome like human story, and it's like a small movie, especially, and it has like all these awesome things in it. The dad scene, I can't stress enough, is amazing at the end. Or like when the 8th grade goes to high school and she's kind of figuring stuff out, which at the end of that night she ends up having a very very interesting and dark experience, like, and it's all real. And this movie is funny when it needs to be, Bo Burnham, but it's also serious when it needs to be. Bo Burnham, you're serious like that? This guy's really smart. This guy has a lot to say, and I think that he kind of like used this movie as a vehicle to kind of vent how he feels about today's generation. I think he does it like very very well, very well. 8th grade, number one movie of the year for Matthew. Shane.
And my number one,
Mr. Wasteland Reviewer.
And it is Annihilation. And Matt keeps asking me like every time I see him, he's like, Annihilation's still at the top of your list. I'm like, nothing has knocked it off. And the reasoning that I give him is, and I'm always more biased towards genre films, which honestly surprised me a little bit why 8th grade made it so high on my list, though. Because usually I'm not, like, that's not my favorite kind of thing, because my judgment is, if you can do human drama, great. And a human drama, it's literally all it's trying to achieve. Genre films are trying to accomplish so many other things, but it still needs that human drama. And the human drama in Annihilation is all there. Her marriage, dealing with that, and all the baggage that all these women that go into this strange, disturbing place all have, hits like a ton of bricks. And it's all there. But then this scares the shit out of you. Bears. Bear from the trailer. That's all I'm going to say. That is one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen in a movie.
And inventive things. I've never seen anything like that.
No.
Nothing like that.
And this has thrilling moments of like a fight with a giant crocodile. And you're like, yeah, it's like this science fiction action movie. No, it's not. This is a science fiction film in the pure sense where this is science fiction and eats everything else with it. It brings everything in. And what all these characters go through is devastating. There are so... And mention the word disturbing. This movie is disturbing in so many different ways. And the climax of this film is one of the most abstract, beautiful things I have ever seen. And one of the most unnerving fights I've ever watched in a movie. And me calling it a fight is, I think, lessening what happens at the end of this movie. And all of the things this could get nominated for at the Oscars. Special effects, which Ex Machina won the special effects Oscar. It beat Fury Road and Force Awakens.
It deserved it.
It for a $30 million budget, what that movie was able to do. The score in this movie is one of the freakiest things I have ever heard, and it's like, and it's like, you know when you see a trailer and you get so disappointed when that music in the trailer's not in the movie? You will not be disappointed watching this movie because that comes at you. And this movie is gorgeous and so thought-provoking and leaves you at a place at the end where you're just like, I don't know how to feel. I'm going to be thinking about this for days. This is stuck in my head. Natalie Portman was amazing in this film. Jennifer Jason Leigh was strong. It's Gina Rodriguez, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Miss Bala.
Yeah, Miss Bala.
That comes out Friday.
That better be good.
I'm going to see it anyway. And Tessa Thompson. I wish she had a little bit more to do in this movie. But the thing is, they all have so much baggage. And what that does to them, and some of the freaky things that I'm looking at my hands because there's weird shit in this movie.
Yeah, please pay attention, like,
to
tiny
little details. And this is a puzzle box. In the Christopher Nolan-iest sense of a puzzle box. And Alex Garland is quickly becoming one of my favorite directors. And I can't wait to see what he does next. But Annihilation blew me away. And that is why Annihilation is my #1 film of 2018.
Shane, like, there's a scene, I won't spoil it, there's a scene with the camcorder. And it's like, wow. Like, this movie...
I'm getting freaked out just thinking about it because...
Wow, yeah, like that. There's like two horror scenes in this movie. And the scene I'm thinking about right now, what the movie does and what the characters are doing, and it's like, I'm scared is probably your first thought because what's happening is really freaky. But then your second thought has to be, but I don't know what's going on. In a good way.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird. And it's scarier because you don't understand what the heck is going on. And the characters are also trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
And what this place does to living things is horrifying. And the visuals show that.
Yes.
And what this does, and there's just some scenes in this movie that are just like so affecting and just hit you so hard. And some of them are just tiny scenes. And one has to do with flowers. And you're just like, what the hell just happened? And you don't know, honestly. And it's terrifying not to know. And that's what this movie does to you. So that is our video of our top 10 films of 2018. I already did my top 10 video of most anticipated 2019. And my number 4 is already one of the most disappointing films of 2019 already. Oh, Glass. Bring on John Wick. Chapter 3 Parabellum. And Endgame. But looking forward to making this video next year. I hope you all tune in to my third annual Wasteland Reviewer Awards. And then Oscar weekend, I will take all their nominations and do my picks. If you've ever watched my Wasteland Reviewer Awards, I make the nominations and I pick the winners. So you're going to see a very, very different awards kind of thing than you will see at the Oscars. But thank you, Matt.
I'll see you in 2020, Shane.
Actually, we should probably do some other kinds of videos and utilize this fun new space. And because people love listening to us interact.
Woo!
Because we're fun, aren't we? But thank you guys. Comment, share, subscribe. And thank you all, as always, for supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.